Hello, this is Ali Godding, and this is a quick walkthrough of making changes and alterations to your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to share the screen to begin with, make sure the correct screen is being shared. This is my LinkedIn profile just for illustration's sake. So if you are looking to change the this first section, you just go to the little pencil, and that is a common theme throughout all of LinkedIn. The little pencil essentially means edit. So here is where you can change, obviously, details, your headline, your current position, and you want to put your location because that's important, and you want to put your summary. This is where you can put that. It's relatively a large amount of space you can use to write for that. There will be a limit, I'm sure, but I haven't hit it yet. Take a note that you've got also media that you can update. So how you do that is you either click a link. Now I'm going to show you something that is a limitation on this. Okay, as an example, so you might have a link that you want to share, and it might not come up with an image. If it doesn't, then the way around that, which is what I've done with the media I have on this section, is to go to upload, and I picked an image that I wanted to upload. I'd already downloaded it. So pick the image and then linked the website to it. So that's a workaround if you find that your link doesn't show the image or any image, which case it doesn't look very engaging. So next section, let's go to your experience. So in your experience, this is essentially the CV part, if you like, of the profile, but do remember there's some key differences between LinkedIn and a CV. But I talk about that in a different session, but do know that this is kind of where you can put that experience, and how much detail you go into depends on what your goal is with LinkedIn. So if you're seeking a new role, that's one situation. If you're not seeking a real role and your audience is maybe suppliers and internal people, that's another situation. So less is more in the second situation, where your internal audience and suppliers, etc., you don't have to go into much detail. Whereas if you're actually looking for another role, then you probably do want to put more detail about each role, because that will bring you up in more word searches and keywords, etc. So a couple of things to add is, do look for the organisation that has a image, a logo associated to it. Let me show you what I mean. So for example, this one here is not linked to anything, whereas, oops, oops, no, I don't want that, goodness me. Scroll down, all of them are, if they've got a logo next to them, and let's say that's the correct one. The reason why this is important is because recruiters can search for people, candidates, prospects who have worked for a certain company, or who've worked with a company that's similar to a certain company. And so if you are not linking to that particular company page, then you're not going to show up in those searches. So that's the significance of making sure, if it has no, some companies don't have their own company page, in which case that's fine. But if they do, then you obviously want to be linking to it, because that's going to be how people find you, or one way they find you. So you also want to make sure you put your location, because, again, people can search for people by location, thinking about distance from an office, for example. And you can also put your description of your current role. You could also, what I have done in some positions where I've had more than one role for each company, I've put it all in under one description and just had one entry. I'm in a position where I'm not looking for a new role, I'm not looking for a new employer, so it doesn't make sense to give that level of information. But if you are potentially looking for a new role, new employer, then you might want to give more information per role than you can fit, in which case you just create a role, an entry per role. So you might have several entries for the same company detailing out each role. So that's really just dependent on your objectives. for using LinkedIn at that particular time. Obviously, it changes over time. So also don't negate, or rather don't neglect, the media aspect. So this is where you can put a link or upload, again, very similar to what I showed you before. So do take advantage of that engagement space. It's kind of something that's engaging with others. Now, if you've done some sort of role where your outputs are very public, like your marketing, for example, then that will be much easier. If you are doing internal work, then it might be less easy. So you might just want to be linking to your company website or something like that that just gives extra context rather than anything that's company confidential. But again, anything you can do to make it engaging would be advantageous, I would say. So then if you scroll down, and that's your career history or your experience. This is how I've done it, where I've had several roles for one company. But as I said before, if you've got more that you want to say for each one, then you might need to create. I might, for example, I could have created 3 entries for engagement success, one for career development director, one for volunteer, one for the core team member. But that's how I've chosen to do it. These are examples of full history, and then of course you've got your education. So yes, again, it's all very obvious. Use your pencil marks to edit your education. Now, when you're adding skills, you have to add skills for people to be able to endorse you for those skills. And this is very simple. Add a new skill. That's how you do that. You just type it in, find the piece of code, as it were, the coded version. So let's say I'm going to add some more, because actually mine's quite out of date, I would say. So there we go. So if you want to edit them, then you click that, and this is where you can move them around. I've moved my coaching one higher up than my engagement one because that's the more relevant one now. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure I showed you was right at the bottom. So if you open yours out, you have these adjust endorsement settings, and you just want to make sure these are all set to yes. That means others can endorse you. It means that other people will be shown suggestions of to what to endorse you for. So it will show them on their screens. Would you like to endorse Joe Blogs for project management? And people just can very quickly and easily endorse that person. Now, obviously, you only want to have endorsements from people who do know you, and also you only want to give endorsements for people you actually know. And when I say know you, I mean know that a person has that skill. Otherwise, it starts to make a mockery of it all. And then the other thing is show me suggestions to endorse my connections. And so, yes, you want that turned on. And, often it's the case that if you endorse others, then they will endorse you. And again, as long as it's all in integrity, then that would be a really good thing. Then you have your recommendations. So if you've never been recommended before, then this is how you would go about doing that. You would search for the person. Let's just say, oops. Oh, I don't know why she's not coming up. Let's try. There we go, she's coming up. So if I've never had an endorsement before, you go to the person, you click more, and you click request a recommendation. But if you've had recommendations before, which I have, then it will show up there. If that's blank for you, if you just don't have any section called recommendations, that's because you don't have any yet, and therefore you need to go the other route. So you can ask to be recommended, and you say, just for the sake of simplicity, and and go next. Now, what I would recommend is you personalize this and you say something like, hi Jennifer, I'm looking to be recommended, and specifically I would really appreciate it if you would highlight the skills I have in this area. Remember we worked together on this project? Well, that's something that I'm looking to highlight, so I'd really value a recommendation highlighting that in particular. Something like that, so it guides them, it gives them some direction as to what kind of reference you want or recommendation that you want, so you can get the kind of ones that you want. Obviously I'm not going to send that because I already have one. Now, this is the next bit. So accomplishments, projects, really important. These can help you show up in, sorry, just having a cup of mint tea. These will help you show up because keywords. And also, once somebody's got your profile, read it through and gone, oh yeah, that looks good, look, right, then if they see your accomplishments and your projects, they can see exactly what you're capable of. It can also stand you in greater stead for getting the right calls from the right kind of headhunters for the right kind of roles. So how you go about doing this is you can either, if you've got some already, you can click the pencil and it will allow you to add more. If not, then you have this blue section on the top right hand. I think it follows you. Yeah, it does. It follows you no matter where you are. It's there. Click down, click to accomplishments, click projects, and there you go. That's how you add your projects for the first time. So a couple of notes I want to say about projects is, let's just give you an example. So you fill them all out, you put your name, put the dates, where it's related to. Now, I created this role and my experience purely for anonymised case study. So where it's company confidential, or just feels relevant that it would be right to make it anonymous, then that's how you can make anonymous case studies, projects. Otherwise, you have to relate them to a particular role or education. You can put links, which is great, and you can then put some descriptions. So that will then allow people to really see some tangibles of the kinds of things you like doing most. And this is an opportunity for you to put on your LinkedIn the projects that you have most enjoyed, so you get more work of that later. If there was a project you're involved in that you've absolutely hated, don't put it as a project, because it'll only encourage people to seek you out for similar kind of work. So I think that is about it. One more. Go to jobs. It's the other little thing. Go to this one, update career interests, and make sure this is flicked on. Let recruiters know you're open, and then you can tap in specifics about what that would look like. So there we go. I think that's all I wanted to say. So hopefully this will really help you make your changes to your profile, so you stand out more, you get the kinds of invitations that you're looking for from potential employers, and it will really help you position yourself for that next dream role that you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to sign out now. Take care, and I will hopefully speak to you soon.